But just looking at what they were able to do tonight and Zion in general, Coach Bud just said he's a force, but how difficult of a player is he to try to defend?
Really tough. But you still want to take away, what you see him do every night. Even though it's a tough assignment, he has a jump pad further away from the rim than you think, but, try to keep him going to his right hand and, bring the help in early. Things that we talked about before the game that we didn't execute.
Devin, is that part of the frustration with not just tonight, but having the game plan, knowing what needs to be done, and then not executing at the level you guys are capable of?
Yeah, and that's been the story of the season thus far. It could be fixed with just a little bit more talking, I say. Things get tough. We get quiet as a team, and, from my experience and what I've seen, that's not the way to get through it.
The other thing I had was seeing Tyus come back after, having to come off the bench. Now he started tonight for Brad. What you see in him that was so productive tonight?
He was making shots and controlling the tempo. Tyus is a great player. I think we've been putting him in tough situations as the past couple months. So if we had some type of flow out there and, we're getting stops and playing in transition and letting him set the table, I think that's when he's at his best.
Book, you mentioned the execution and the communication there. I know injury's been part of this season as well, but if you had to describe, what it's taken to get you guys to this point in the season, how would you kind of go about doing that?
What's the question?
Like, when you look at the season as a whole, how would you describe what it's taken to get you guys to this point where you're, 4 or 5 games below 500?
I'd say, just, skipping over the details and, always taking the, get them next game mentality. At some point you got to draw a line, and should have been drawn a long time ago.
To your point about drawing that line and improving the communication in your experience with a lot of different types of teammates, what does it take to kind of build that environment, I guess?
Everybody has to be on the same page. Starts with the leaders of the team, obviously me, Brad, and Kay, and Coach. But, from my history, there's 15, 20 guys on the sideline that know the game plan, that know what's going on, and in the huddles, just constant communication.
Sorry, Buck. When it comes to threes, it was you and Kevin combined for 29 three-point attempts. I know this has been a dialogue with you all year in terms of taking threes, but do you feel like that's a good shot balance for you guys, or was that just more of taking what the defense was giving you guys?
Yeah, I think a lot of them were good looks. We got 50 up as a team. Yeah, I think we need to stick with that. Just clean things up on the defense end and keep that same mentality on the other side, and we'll be all right.
Hearing you talk about communication, it's easy for a fan to hear you say that and say it's just simple as everyone talking. But to Gerald's question, is it a group mentality that leads to communication getting better? How would you describe specifically communication improving on a team?
Yeah, it's ongoing communication. I'd rather two people say the wrong thing to each other out there than nobody talk at all and leave the gray area. So it's like any job or any group project that you do, you have to do it together. Even once you have a game plan, you think everybody knows it. There's nothing wrong with reiterating it and just keep the conversation going throughout the whole game.
Book, on the defensive end, is there anything besides communication that you feel like is different than last year? Because a lot of the rotation's the same. It's a group we've seen compete and defend before, but obviously this year it hasn't been there.
Yeah, it's different.
But when you're talking about drawing the line and should have been done a long time ago, is that something that you're sitting here now thinking about yourself and I should have handled things differently, I should have done something?
Yeah, I always look at myself first. But I also talk a lot.